Welcome to part 2 of the animated story of the London Tower. Let's go back in time to where we left off, to the medieval city of London in 1220 AD. The city is bustling with a population of around 30,000. The old St Paul's Cathedral is nearing completion, being the longest church in the world at the time. Looking from the Southwark direction, we can see the Old London Bridge. This is a key crossing point of the Thames in London, ferrying people, goods and livestock across the river. The Tower of London, previously extended during Richard the Lionheart's reign, is London's main defensive point. King Henry III was eager to ensure the Tower of London was a formidable fortification, whilst at the same time a comfortable place to live. He built a new gate and 3 new towers: Wakefield Tower, Lanthorn Tower and Bloody Tower. They probably served as private residences for the Queen and King respectively. Most of the work was focused on the palatial buildings of the innermost ward, which encloses an area immediately south of White Tower and stretches out to the edge of the River Thames. The old ditch was filled to make way for a new expansion. Beginning around 1238, the castle was expanded out to the east, north and northwest. The tradition of whitewashing the White Tower, from which it derives its name, began in 1240, a popular fashion around this time, and Henry III was an estate after all. Henry's building programme wasn't popular amongst the locals, so they promptly rejoiced later that same year when the old gatehouse collapsed. It did not hinder the castle expansion, however, which included a new defensive perimeter studded with towers. There is the Devereux Tower, Flint Tower and Constable Tower, just to name a few. The work continued throughout the reign of Henry III and into Edward I's, but was interrupted occasionally by civil unrest. Subsequently, a new wide moat was dug. Although he was rarely in London, Edward commissioned an expensive remodelling of the tower. costing £21,000 between 1275 and 1285, over double that spent on the castle during the whole of Henry's reign. He extended a south side wall onto the land that had previously been submerged by the River Thames. In this wall, he built St Thomas's Tower, later known as Traitor's Gate. A new entrance to the tower was built, new gates named Bywood Tower and Middle Tower, a bridge, a barbican were also added. The inner ward's western curtain wall was rebuilt too. Interestingly, the Beauchamp Tower, which was placed at the old gate location, marks the first large-scale use of brick as a building material in Britain. A third ring of walls now completely surrounded the castle. The tower became the safest place in the whole of England at the time. 4 more towers were then added: Leggs Mount, Brass Mount, Devil Inn Tower and Well Tower. Even to this day, most of Henry and Edward's structures are still standing, and the tower will remain within similar footprint thereafter. The moat was widened and deepened to enhance defences. It was an alleged 4.5 metres deep in the centre line. Sluice gates ensured that most of the moat remained full even at low tide. A royal menagerie was placed in the Lion Tower by the entrance. It housed a large variety of exotic animals brought to the king as a gift, rumoured to have included lions, elephants and even polar bears. The old Norman chapel was renovated as part of Edward's work too. Edward II had allowed the Tower of London to fall in a state of disrepair, and by the reign of Edward III the castle was an uncomfortable place to live. Edward III ordered that the castle should be renovated. Then by 1375 a wharf in front of the tower was created to allow ships to dock next to the fortress. Following this, a second entrance to the tower was added to the east. A second water gate named Cradle Tower was added to the east of St Thomas's Tower and used exclusively by the king. By the end of the 14th century, the area within the walls was filled with many buildings, including barracks, warehouses and armouries. Some viewed it as a separate city on its own, a city supporting the king's magnificence. Much of the latter half of the 15th century was occupied by the Wars of the Roses between the claimants to the throne, the houses of Lancaster and York. During the wars, the tower was damaged by artillery. In response, the tower was then fortified to withstand gunfire, and loopholes were carved out for cannons and handguns. Additionally, near the entrance, an enclosure called the Bulwark was created for this same purpose. Around the beginning of the Tudor period, there was a decline in the use of the Tower of London as a royal residence. The tower was then used as an armoury, prison and place of execution. After 200 years of painstaking reconstruction, the tower was soon to be rendered obsolete with the invention and then popularisation of gunpowder. It will then remain mostly unchanged, standing as a monument to Edward and Henry's reigns.